I see a lot of guys always talk about, man, you need to get your money together before you start dating. Women love a guy with money. And some of that may be true. You can provide, make them feel protected. But I've met way too many guys living off a woman, AOB. I've seen it many times. So I know that's very far from the truth. And what if I told you there's a certain power that comes with just being a cool dude, a cool guy? I think a lot of people think you have to hit all this different stuff. Oh, I gotta be this tall, I gotta this much money. But sometimes it's just about being that breeze of fresh air, that chill guy, that cool guy. And we're gonna talk about it today, man, because it really stuck out to me about a week ago. I went to a dinner birthday thing, and one guy there, I never met this man, but I felt like I met him before because he's a very common archetype. I've seen guys in the military, black guys in the military that act just like him, so when he was talking, the way he moved, so I go to the dinner. I'm not the best dressed. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm not the best dressed, but it's like super hot. It's hot as balls out. And they wanted to eat outside some reason. I guess that's the only place we could have a party because it was like a big group of people. And it's probably at least 89 degrees, maybe 90 degrees. And so I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And my brother, he comes up to me. He's like, oh, you not gonna dress up at all? Some people kind of dressed up more than others, but this one guy, he had like this tie on, he had a leather jacket on, he had a hat on, and he had some shades on. And while we had dinner, I remember he complained a couple times, like, man, I can't wait to get in the car and have that AC blowing on me. Cause it's like, bro, I know bro is sweaty as balls, sitting there with his leather jacket on, and it's like 90 degrees outside, and it's super humid. It started raining, and then it stopped raining, so it's even hotter. And he got this leather jacket on, like trying to be super cool, and he got shades on at the dinner table, like that's kind of wild. But I've seen this type of character before, but that puts a lot of people off because my brother said something to me about it, and my sister said something to me about it. Like, bro, did you see this dude? Like, it's like he's trying too hard. He's trying too hard to be cool, and I think a lot of time being that cool guy is just about embracing who you are. And I know it's like, sounds lame to say like, oh, just be yourself. But you got to be the best version of yourself. Yes, there's a couple things you can learn from some players, learn from some dudes that really cleaned up. But some people get too attached to trying to impress people, trying to make people think highly of themselves. That puts a lot of people off. Because like I said, my brother and my sister were like, did you see, bro? Bro was like doing too much. And you see this is very common. And, I think a lot of this stuff is by design to make you a consumer, always make you feel like you have to have the new best thing. But a lot of times it's just like, how do people feel after hanging out with you? What type of energy do you provide to people? I promise you, when you have an energy that anytime someone's around you, they feel better, they're gonna wanna be around you more. And that's something that's extremely uncommon, especially in a country like America. You see a lot of people are like sad, always negative, or a lot of guys are just boring. They don't know how to have fun. And for a long time, that was me. I was too strict on everything. If I was talking to a girl, I'd be tripping over everything. And I just realized that's not a way to live. Now, I'm not saying to let a girl walk on you and play with you and stuff like that, but it's just like, if a girl is playing with you too much or any sign of disrespect, just like, don't take her serious anymore. But it's like, I used to try to make somebody into the person I wanted them to be, instead of accepting people for who they are. You just got to accept them for who they are and then learn how to enjoy life. I feel like that's one thing I really learned from my dad, because my dad was never good with money. So anytime I see a guy say like, oh, you just need money to get women, I'm like, my dad's never been good with money. Like his whole life, never been good with money, still isn't. And I don't say that to bash him. I'm just saying like, this is where I learned it from, because I'm like, my dad still had his heyday back in the day. And that's why I realized a big part of his success was by the game. He got into a new area, and some guys, y'all just in a bad location. Don't feel like you have to stay wherever you're at. I'm moving next month. So don't feel like you have to stay in your same location. Even if you like, it might sound silly or goofy, like, man, I don't like the women in this area. I want to put myself in a pool where I actually like more options. That a lot of guys need to look into that. I've never been like a huge fan of the passport bros, because a lot of those guys are just like tricking. they can't succeed here, so they like just want to go over there and trick. And it's women are more affordable in different countries. But like some guys who want to go to a different country, experience different women. Hey, by all means, do your thing. But I'm not for the complaining and not trying to find a solution, or not trying to find a way to enjoy life. You know, like a lot of people just stay in that depressing, sad, feel bad for myself, oh, everything's going to shit, you know. That's no way to live. That's no way to live. And I promise you, the more you learn, the more you realize how wicked everything is. The more you realize, especially in America, like America's on the decline. And it's gonna be a rapid decline. I say within the next 5 to 10 years, yeah, you're gonna see a rapid decline, regardless of who they put into office, because they really on the same team. And the real ones know that. But yeah, man, watching my dad, like, he knew how to have a good time. Now, you know, I avoid like drugs and alcohol like that. But some women just love a guy that knows how to have fun. You know, I can't tell you how many times my dad told me about stories of him dancing in the club and, you know, just having a good time going out and experiencing life. And I think a lot of guys nowadays, they just stay inside all day and they don't do anything. And then you expect a woman to like be head over heels about you when you don't do anything. You don't enjoy your life. You think a woman wants to join you in your life, but your life isn't even enjoyable. You're not having a good time. You know, and sometimes it's not even about what you do, it's how you do it. I can't tell you how many times, like, dog, I done had chicks just come over and that's it. And they're like, oh, I had a great time because the conversation was flowing. So even if we only had chilled in my room for an hour, or we might have went to a park, or I talked about this before when I was in Vietnam and I had a chick from Norway come through. I remember we just walked down the street, maybe like a 5-minute walk back to the place, talked for like 30 minutes, and then we got, you know, to business. And she was like, oh, I'm so glad I came over here. I had such a great time. But the conversation was flowing. You know, that was probably the greatest conversation she had in a while because, man, we were touching down on everything. And I really liked hearing her talk too because, you know, just giving a different perspective because, you know, she was born in Norway. So, and she'd have been in a couple places in the States. So it's like conversation was really flowing. But it's like some guys, they just don't have that energy to themselves. They don't have that fun energy to themselves. So they will meet up with a girl, spend a whole bunch of money, and the girl still doesn't have a good time because you're just lame. You're boring. Or you're trying too hard to impress and she can feel that, and that's like a turnoff. You know, so that's what I say, man. And that's why I always been like very much for the cheap date. And a lot of people give me slack for that, especially when I get on like TikTok and stuff. Oh, you're cheap. You could spend some money on the first date, yada yada yada. But it's like it's not about the money spent. And see, this is what a lot of guys don't understand. It's not about the money spent. It's about how you make that woman feel. So if I can take this girl to the park and make her feel like she had the best night of her life, and you take her to this seafood restaurant and you spend $100 and y'all go another place, spend another $50-$60, but I have that energy to make her feel better than you did. Even though you were spending all your money, she still had a better night with me. And that's what I want you guys to understand. Like, truly enjoy this life. You know, a lot of people say YOLO, like truly live this life to the most, man. That doesn't mean like do some crazy stuff, hop on all these drugs and go balls to the wall and everything. But it's like, start enjoying life, dog. Start looking at the positive side of life. Cause I can't tell you how many women I've talked to and they're like, oh, my ex was so like depressing. He was always, you know, down on his luck and he was always complaining. And it's just like, nobody wants to be around that energy. Nobody wants to be around that energy. So if you can start to look at life in a positive light more, and the way you do that is living life how you truly want it, man. You might not be anywhere near where you want to be, but you start taking steps in the right direction and that will bring some light to your life. Even this YouTube channel for me, like ever since I started this YouTube channel, life became more enjoyable. It's damn near like if I don't upload a video, it doesn't sit right with me. If I go a day or two without uploading a video, it's like, ugh, it doesn't feel right. Because it just became part of my day that I truly enjoy, man. So I tell you guys all that to say this, man. We know looks matter, money matters, status matters, all that stuff matters. But I would say the most important thing is how you make her feel. And a big component of that is how do you make yourself feel? Can you lead yourself? Can you operate your life? Because these women, they're looking for a leader. They might not say it, but these women are looking for a leader. She's looking for somebody superior to her. How are you going to be superior to her if you don't feel good about yourself? If you don't know how to control yourself? If you don't know how to put yourself on the right path, how are you supposed to put her on the right path? If you can't have fun by yourself, how are you supposed to have fun with her? Like, that's the type of stuff y'all got to really think about. A lot of guys think they got to be a millionaire. I got to have all this stuff. I got to buy fancy cars. Like, No, sometimes she just falls for the guy that knows how to have a good time. The guy that doesn't take everything too seriously. And like I said, that was me for a long time. That was me for a long time. I feel like I was watching way too much dating content. And it's like, when I go on a date, it's like, I just took that shit way too seriously, man. Like, now I can go on a date. I can know I have no type of future with this girl at all on a date. And still have a great time. I'm like, oh, she low-key a dirtbag. But, I still get to know her and we have a good time. Or sometimes you might cut the date short and be like, okay, yeah, I'm not even gonna waste my time. But man, sometimes it's just about being that cool guy. Do you have that energy? People love energy, dog. People love that guy with energy. It's about how you make her feel. So, I've seen it before. Women with a super rich guy, super successful guy, and she still likes this other guy more. And it's like, what is going on? Guys like Tom Brady lose their chick. And it's like, well, another guy gave her better energy. Another guy was probably making her feel better. So don't always think it's just about, oh, I'm taller, I got more muscles. It's like body game plays a role, but I always talk about the body game because that's more about making yourself feel better. And that's more about making yourself believe in yourself and go through trials and tribulations and push yourself. It's more about looking higher of yourself. It's not about, just looking good for everybody else. It's like, no, that's you putting work into yourself and seeing the results. And then you start building off of that. It's the foundation. It's about feeling healthier. It's about feeling better about yourself because when you're healthier, it's easier to be happy. If you got all these diseases and you got obesity and you don't feel good, you feel lazy, you're eating all this junk food, you're tired, it's gonna be hard to be that guy with energy. But if you're in shape, you're disciplined, you're doing some type of training that you enjoy, okay, that's gonna give you a lot more energy. You're gonna feel a lot better throughout your day. And then that's even gonna help your dating life because when you got the energy, dog, a lot of these guys don't have that. A lot of these guys, they gotta hop on all these crazy drugs to get this type of energy. But when you live in the right way, when you live in a natural way, you just got that energy from eating fruits, from eating clean meats, from doing your lifting, from doing your cardio. You don't need to hop on all these drugs and throw down all these energy drinks to get energy like these other guys do. But man, that's all I got for y'all today. Sometimes it's just about being that cool guy. I think a lot of guys get too caught up in the, oh, I need to have this much money, I need to have this, I need to have that. It's like, if you're on the right path and you a cool guy, you have good energy, a lot of women will bet on you, dog. A lot of women will bet on you. Because even when I was working like super low end jobs, I still had women highly interested in me. I was a server, had women interested in me. I was working at Chick-fil-A. I was working at Arby's. I was a forklift driver. Like every single job I had, I still had women that were interested in me. And it wasn't about, oh, he only makes this much. It's like, no, I had a vision for myself in the future. But a lot of brothers, they don't have a vision. I promise you, a lot of these women will bet on you. Because the competition is weak as hell out here. I promise you, the competition is weak. Because a lot of these guys, they're just not cool. They don't feel good about themselves. They don't have any energy. So if you could be that just breeze of fresh air, man, you will stand out from the crowd. But that's all I got for y'all today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch y'all boys in the next one.